Hi, my name is Erik Bohlin and I'm with New Hope Counseling Service. Today we're going to be talking about problems with money. Do you realize 73% of everybody that walks into a counseling office has problems with money? And here's the other interesting thing is they won't even talk about it. They may talk about sexual problems before they'll talk about money problems. Why do we think this is? Well, it seems that money goes to the core of who we are. If we struggle with greediness or material possessions in the sense that we just constantly need, that seems to be one of our attributes with money. The other thing is we struggle with our self-worth, that we feel that we should be able to earn money, to be able to manage things on our own. But the fact is very few of us have been taught how to deal with the emotional side of money. There are many good trainings that deal with money on how to manage it, how to earn it, how to invest it. But how do you even get to that point? How do you get to the point that you're able to even want to do those things? People that struggle with money seem to have a few characteristics that we should talk about. I think the number one thing is denial. We tend to not want to even know where we are financially. Have you looked around? It seems like you're in good company. Even our government doesn't want to necessarily see the facts of where we are financially. And so denial stands for don't even know I am lying. And so it's one of those things that it's total unawareness. How do we stay unaware? We stay unaware by not tracking. We don't track what's coming in and we don't track what's going out. We struggle with keeping receipts and putting them into our checking account. We struggle with knowing what a spending plan is. And we'll talk later in a future session about a spending plan. I think the other thing that keeps us stuck when it comes to money is that we don't get educated on it. We really don't know how to manage it. Sure, we go to school to learn our profession, how to do our job, but do you realize many people have never really been taught how to deal with money? So the thing is, how do you begin to get out? Well, this is going to sound really funny, but it's really, really helpful. It's what we call baby steps. And you may have seen the movie What About Bob and the whole humor in that. But realistically, that if people are able to take small enough steps, they will get out of the hole that they feel that they're in. Let's take a person who struggles with even managing any kind of checkbook, okay? If we just say, well, here's the checkbook, you need to do it by next week, I can guarantee you 90% of the time they won't be able to do it. Is it because they're dumb? I don't think so. Because they're able to hold down a job, but there's something, an emotional blockage that keeps people from doing that. If you take small enough steps, like micro steps, you will not put yourself in a situation where you feel overwhelmed. And if you're not overwhelmed, then you're going to be able to continue walking through. Yeah, so one of the most simple beginning steps is to actually carry around just maybe your checkbook. Having that with you has a tracking system built right into it. I know we've evolved to using like these debit cards. The problem is that you swipe it, you grab the receipt, and I don't know if you were like me, but the receipts could be anywhere. And then what? Well, then you're not even tracking. You're not even aware that there's money coming out of your account. So I'd highly recommend just carrying this maybe for the first step. Maybe if the key is to take the smallest amount of steps that would give you the greatest change. And so if you can actually write your expenditures in, you would be doing great. If you can organize it where you actually say, okay, this is a household expense, this is a grocery, this is a gas item, a fuel expense, this is actually going to work even better. And then what you'll be able to do is have some tracking of what is going for what. Now I know this sounds like the naughty word, the B word, like budget, but it really isn't about that. It's really about gaining awareness to your finances. And if you have awareness, you're able to then make the choices you want to make. So if we were to look at how to solve this problem with your money, it starts with how do you relate differently to it. The problem is not the money itself, it's how you relate to it. And so one of the things that I found useful is kind of a pie chart that will actually help teach you to think about this threefold. Okay, and so one of the most important, but not, totally the important, but one of the most important things is the spiritual side. Do you realize that in the Christian faith that Jesus Christ talked about how money has the potential for us to worship it, that it's really a misuse of creation, that instead of us using creation for our benefit moderately, that creation begins to use us, that we are addicted to the latest machinery, the latest technology. We're addicted to food, maybe eating out, the pleasures of life, the comfort. We may be addicted to education, addicted to a house, to a yard. I mean, you name it, it just goes on and on and on. None of these things, there's nothing wrong with these things. The key is that we need to be free from it so that it doesn't use us. The thing is the emotional. The emotional is where we first have learned about money. Most of us grew up in a family where we had enough money for an allowance. And so it was that interaction with money at those early stages that really caused us to form our impressions, our beliefs about money. If we grew up in a family where we seemed to never have enough, that our parents were struggling continually, then that's going to affect how we see and relate to money and how we see ourselves. We might struggle with self-worth. We may feel that our worth is definitely based on how much money we're making. We may be obsessed with money and trying to make a huge amount, or we may be making very little just because we don't feel like we can make more than our parents did. So see the emotional ties with money. Many of us grew up maybe with not enough money, and so we began to become compulsive savers, that we could not use any of our money for our basic needs. And it might have driven spouses and children crazy, but our whole security was wrapped up in money. The other side is where we didn't seem to be able to hold enough onto our money. Money talks, all right, it said goodbye, and that it burns a hole in my pocket and I can't keep it. There are people that have a spending addiction in addition to all this, that they struggle with getting feelings of power and feelings of choice, being able to go to the store and purchase items. Some of these situations, they're not even keeping the items, they're compulsively giving them away or compulsively taking them back to the store. Okay, so emotional needs to be dealt with. And lastly, the financial aspect of a good recovery program for money is important. Often that's what you'll find in the programs you'll see on our website. And, the thing is, all of them are important, but you might not be able to do the financial part of it without dealing with the emotional and the spiritual. How many of you have actually tried really hard to get in touch with these issues on yourself? How many of you tried to do this by yourself and you just didn't get anywhere? How many programs have you bought just to listen to them and then not follow through on them? So there must be something blocking you, and the people that I've worked with do get free. How do they get free? They deal with all of it. They deal with a holistic perspective.